Yeah, vinyl community, Beach Boys fans, random people on the internet. My name is Giggens, and we are here today to talk about the Beach Boys' 1964 Ode to Summer for the Last Time, all summer long. This is a wonderful album. Right off the bat, I just want to get that off my chest here. This album, I think, is just as good as Today and Summer Days and Summer Nights. I really feel like it doesn't get enough credit for how strong of an album it is. There's definitely a couple weak moments, but overall, it's almost like a greatest hits album. I mean, it plays like a greatest hits album. The story behind this one, this came out in 1964, and the Beach Boys in 1964 were just like on fire, on top of their game. It was during the height of the British invasion, so that, Dave Clark 5, the Beatles, Rolling Stones were coming out, like all those guys. They were desperate to keep up with the times and not get overshadowed by that, because the Beatles were the biggest thing in the world in 1964, and up until that point, the Beach Boys had been in America. So they were kind of like, all right, we gotta step up our game here. And I think one of the biggest things that went through their heads, especially with Brian, was like, look, if we're gonna do this, we gotta make songs that are a little more universal. We can't just be talking about the beach and singing about surfing and cars and stuff. Like, let's change it up a little bit. And that's what they did. During the making of this album, they basically fired Murray Wilson as their manager. It was not working out. Things were not going right. Brian wanted to do things his way. Murray wanted to do things his way in the studio, and no one was gelling. It was awkward. Anyone who's read a book about the Beach Boys knows that, like, Murray would go on tour with them and just make their lives a living hell. Being in the studio was awful. He would say, more bass, more guitar, punch that guitar. And Brian would be like, no, if we had, like, 2 or 3 guitars, or layer some harmonies, we can get the same effect and have it sound even better. But it's one of those things. Anyways, this was all right before Brian decided to stop touring. This was like, it's amazing that they got through this year. Basically, it's incredible. So I want to do a track by track here, as we always do here at the Giggens channel, and start off. I mean, it starts off with "I Get Around," and like, I haven't played this album in a while, the whole thing. I know all the songs, and like I've had them on mixes for a long time, or you just know them. But to sit down and like really listen to this album was a lot of fun. It's been probably years since I sat down and went, oh yeah, all summer long by the Beach Boys. Yeah, let's do it. And I was pleasantly blown away. If you know from watching this channel, you see that I review a lot of the later stuff, but I also really do love the early stuff too. And I think it's just been so long since I've heard this album. I was like, holy crap, like, this is a good album, man. I Get Around. It went to #1. What can you say? It is like the embodiment of youth and freedom and fun. It's got this totally confident approach to being like, you know what? We're going to kick some ass right now. Here's I Get Around. Here's like this really weird chord change. Here are these super tough, badass vocals going on in the background. It really, really sounds like they can't be touched. Like they're making something that sounds so special that no one will top this. And it went to #1 because of that. It sounds like summer. It sounds like a song that makes you get energized and revved up and ready to go, and you're like, you know what? Yeah, this is the Beach Boys, man. I can dig it. All summer long, the next track on this album has been used in countless various cultures, pop culture references. Words are sometimes not my strong suit, ladies and gentlemen. It's been used in movies and TV shows. Hey, all right. I remember seeing it on The Simpsons when I was a kid. It's in the end of American Graffiti. It's one of those songs that, like, I don't know if it was intended to be a poignant, ode to summer ending, but it definitely has that feeling. And I think it can invoke that feeling of, remembering good times when you're younger, or even a nice summer that you had recently. And you're thinking about how fun that was, and now that it's ending, you're kind of like, oh crap, like we're going back to school, or going, it's going to be cold again, and life is going to be a drag for the next 6 months. But can't you tell I just love winter? All summer long, it's an excellent song. It's loosely based on Brian and Marilyn's first date, where Brian actually spilled hot chocolate on Marilyn's dress, and then they changed it around to be that the girl spilled Coke on herself. So, you know, life imitates art, or art imitates life. Either way. Yeah, again, it's just one of those, like, you know, embodiment of being young type songs. It's like, we're alive, we're young, here's the cool things we've done. Yeah, great. Hushabye. Holy crap. This has to be one of the best covers the Beach Boys have ever done, ever. I feel like there's a different video where I've talked about Hushabye before, but specifically, the bridge part that Mike sings is fantastic. That tenderness in his voice, that softness, that love that he creates in his, you see what I did there? See that is Mike Love is his name. Yeah. But what he does with his voice in that part is so striking, because usually every song up to this point, give or take a few here and there, he's kind of like the tough guy, the lead guy, vocalist, giving off like the cool macho persona and like the smooth kind of thing. And here he is doing something different. And that's such a wonderful moment to hear in their discography, and specifically on this song, and the placement on this song on the album too. I think the setup of this album, this track listing, the way it was sequenced, it's been a while, right? The sequencing, I think, is fantastic. But going back to Hushabye, you know, it's got these excellent Beach Boys harmonies. It's one of those songs that just blows you away with how good they really could sing. It really blows you away. And you get to that part with Mike, and you're like, damn, like, that's really, really good. And you want more songs like that. And then you think of some other stuff he did later on, where he did some of that more tender stuff. And his voice just works really well like that. I wish he would do more songs like that, some more ballad-type songs. As great of a vocalist as he is with stuff like I Get Around, Surfing USA, etc., I think he has a special talent for doing stuff like that. Great song. Little Honda, we jump back into one of the last like automotive type songs the Beach Boys put on a current record at the time, and in that era of, you know, mid-60s craziness. I mean, it's great, the part where Dennis goes faster. I mean, it's such a catchy song. It's an excellent up-tempo rocker. Makes you want to get your girl and get your Honda and go riding out into the sunset. Yeehaw. We'll Run Away is the next song, and that for me is like an underrated Lost Beach Boys gem. You know, Brian's voice in that song is so smooth and so pretty and so full of heartache and love for the girl he's singing about. And, you know, it's one of those stories of young love when you're in high school or college, and you're like, you know what, yeah, let's just do it. Let's tell him how to saw it off. We're gonna go run away and get married. You know, like you go through those feelings. I mean, some people do, but and to have a song like that is, I think it's really special. It clocks in at just under 2 minutes. It's really short, but again, it's one of those. I love the second bit where like the drums basically disappear, and it's just like an organ and their voices. Very cool bit. Carl's Big Chance, mostly instrumental. You know, just showing off Carl's excellent surf rock guitar style. Yeah, he was definitely a student of Chuck Berry, and he wears that hat well. He just knows how to do it. The next song on side 2, you get To Wendy, which was a single for them, and this version is the mono version, so there's no cough on this one in the middle, which I always look forward to, and I'm super disappointed when it doesn't happen. Yeah, great song about getting broken up with, you know, what can you say? Do You Remember? That's a cool song, you know, talking about old bands from back in the day, which at that point, you know, what, 5 or 6 years, was apparently ancient for, hey, remember Chuck Berry and Elvis? Man, remember the 50s? That was like 100 years ago, remember? You know, pretty cool. I mean, it's one of those really, really quick songs, but again, it's like a condensed Beach Boy experience. They're just on fire the whole time. I love Mike's approach to it, his energy, his really succinct vocal style. Excellent. Girls on the Beach is the next track, and that's easily one of my favorite Beach Boy songs of the early era. Almost specifically just for Dennis's middle bit, the sun in her hair, the warmth of the air. Like, holy moly, man. Like, he steals the freaking show. He had that voice, and obviously he had that look, too, but, like, you know, you could just imagine him, like, on the beach with his surfboard parked in the sand next to him, and, like, just watching the girls, watching the ocean, the birds in the air, and, you know, it's a nice sunny day out. You can just imagine him singing that part. The chord changes in this song are kind of unusual, too. Like, they go into weird places, but that's one of the great things about the Beach Boys, and Brian specifically, is that he could do that whole minor major thing and just make it sound so effortless. Yeah, very, very unique songwriting. Drive-In was actually a really old song at this point. I think it was one of the first ones recorded for this album at the end of 1963, and it's pretty cool. You know, it's kind of a fun, quirky song. I like the Smokey the Bear bit at the end, where only you can protect forest fires. That's cool. The sessions bit, our favorite recording sessions, what a weird thing. Like, it's just an odd thing to put recording sessions of the album you just listened to at the end of an album that you just listened to. It's very strange. You know, nothing like that existed at that point. That was left for, you know, like when these big box sets started coming out in the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s of bands, all their demos, like that's when you would hear this stuff. You want to get it on an actual release. Like, could you imagine playing Sgt. Pepper and having like a demo of Mr. Kite at the end? Like, it doesn't make sense. Very weird, but interesting nonetheless. And the last song on the album, "Don't Back Down," the last peon to surf rock that they did at this time. I mean, that they later revisited it, obviously, later on. Even as little as a few years later, would do it again. But as far as this era, it's almost fitting that the very last song is a surf song, as like they were saying, hey, we're done with this now. It's over. The next thing we do from here is gonna blow your freaking mind. You know, the Beach Boys Today album. So it's cool to see this era, you know, kind of come to an end, and I think they were ready for a change. I think they wanted something different and a new approach, and I think they did it pretty well. Here's the back cover. This is an original mono issue from the 60s. It's a second issue. The first issue had all these songs in yellow, and "Don't Back Down" was written as "Don't Break Down." So if you find one of those, you're in pretty good shape, brother. So let's see the original cool Capitol label. I love that early Capitol label. Those rainbows, man. There's something about the look of those. You know, it's just a cool look. But yeah, this album was an absolute joy to listen to. It's, again, like I said, it's been years since I heard it. It still has a shrink on it, by the way, which is pretty cool. Been years since I've heard it, and it was good. It was a really good listen. It brought me back to that feeling of rediscovering the Beach Boys as a kid, where all you knew was the surf songs. You had those greatest hits CDs of the surf stuff, and that was what you knew as a little kid. So hearing this was cool. You know, opening Line Get Around, a really powerful song to open with, and, you know, some great songs on here. Girls on the Beach, Wendy, We'll Run Away, Hushabye, All Summer Long. It really is like a greatest hits album. And I feel like nobody talks about it. It's the strangest thing. It's completely overlooked. So here's a video on the internet of me talking about this album. Hey, alright. If I had to give it a rating, I'd probably give it like a 7 or 8 out of 10. As much as I love it, it's weird having our favorite recording sessions on here. Carl's Big Chance, I feel like if they had spent the time to make an instrumental, they probably could have added some words to something and added another song to it. It's a short album. I mean, as they were. I mean, they put out like a ton of these in between 1962 and 66. So, like, you know, there's going to be some things were a little shorter than usual. But I love the cover art on here. I think it's cool. You know, it's just one of those things I feel like you never, ever hear about. So there's my 2 cents. Take it for what you want. And that's it. I'm going to say 7. Let's go with a 7 on this album. Nah, let's go with an 8. Let's go with an 8. Yeah, let's do an 8. The Beach Boys, All Summer Long. Capitol Records, 1964. This has been Album Reviews with Giggens. Thank you so much for watching, guys. And there's a lot more to come. There's plenty more videos to happen. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye. How do you turn this? Hang on. Alright, there's the off button. Haha.